Division 6, Marlon Barnes.
Here.
Division 5, Robert Harris.
Here.
Division 4, Justin Blaine.
Here.
Division 3, Frank Donato.
Here.
Division 2, Keith Dice.
Here.
Division 1, Shelley Sourcewell.
Here. Item number 4, adoption of the agenda.
I'll make a motion to adopt the agenda. I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item number 5, public comment period. Item number 4 is period open for the public. If anybody in the audience wishes to address the board on any item that is not on the agenda, please feel free to do so now.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Hi, Andrew Warner with the Renewable Resources Group, or we work together as Western Development and Storage and as Homer. Hi everyone, it's been a while since I've been here. I was in the neighborhood and just wanted to come by and show my face. It's been a while and say hello to everybody. And anyways, I just want to do and see what's going on, and nice to see you all. I love the space. I've been coming for the Water Master meeting for a while, so I'm familiar with it. But it's been a long time since I've been to an AVEK board meeting. So very nice to see you all.
Nice to
Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Okay, item number 6, consent calendar. Do I have a motion to accept the consent calendar?
I'll move the second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item number 7, new business. Matt, do we have any new business?
We do. Good evening. On page 2 of your agenda, we have, oh, I'm sorry, new business, no, there's no new business.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Item number 8, items for consideration and possible action. Item 8A, Finance Committee. Director Donato.
Yes. Thank you. Finance Committee met yesterday, went over the bills and check registry, and one of the items we went over was the item 8A1, the water truck tow vehicle purchase, and we received some bids. And are you gonna just open it up?
Actually, we're going to have John Wozigian, our operations manager, handle this item.
Good evening, everyone. Okay, so I'll get the board up to speed on what this item's about. The board approved our capital budget last fiscal year, and one of the items was $160,000 allocation to purchase a water truck. So let me explain first of all why we need a water truck. We rent a water truck every year for our water bank to build berms, for compaction purposes. We do a lot of weed eradication out there, and by law we have to have a water truck on standby to keep things under control. And we spent about $15,000 last year on just water truck rental. So we thought, well, we should probably look at purchasing one. And after research and talking to Dwayne and Matt, we decided that why don't we get a dual purpose vehicle? About 4 years ago, we purchased 2 portable Caterpillar generators, 500 kW generators. They weigh 17 tons each. And we have no way to pull them. And at the time, we knew we'd probably have to buy a vehicle eventually to do that. We rely on Clark and Howard to tow those to sites. If we have a power outage, we can run at pump stations. So we thought, well, wait a minute, let's get a vehicle that can not only tow the generators, but double as a water truck when we need that. So we looked into it, and we sized the truck that has a rating that will pull those generators, and it will also, eliminate the water truck rentals. So we contacted 4 well-known water truck manufacturers, 3 in California, 1 out of state. The 1 out of state had no interest in doing any California vehicle. This is going to be a brand new Tier 4 diesel vehicle. Only 2 of the ones in California were interested in even submitting a bid. T&B Water Trucks in Rialto is one of the better known water truck manufacturers. They came in at $154,994.31. So they came in under budget, which is good. Dwayne recommended, look, before we commit to this, let's send our guys down there and look at this, and let's make sure it's exactly what we want for our purposes. So they went down, they looked at it, changed a few things, got an updated price, and this is going to be a customized water truck. It's going to do exactly what we wanted to do. So I would finish by saying Frank brought up at the committee meeting, what about warranty? It comes with, and it's a huge expense, so we should probably think about this. The truck itself, it's a Freightliner truck. It comes with a 2-year, 250,000 mile warranty on the engine. Transmission is 3 years, unlimited miles. The truck itself is 2 years, unlimited miles. We're not going to put a lot of miles in this truck. Time is more valuable than miles on something like this. So we can get an upgraded warranty for another $4,450. We can extend it to 5 years on the engine, on the transmission, and on the truck. And we'll have this truck maintained regularly. McCormick Diesel will probably do all our maintenance on it like he does our generators. So I think it's probably, I would recommend that we go with this extended warranty for such an investment. And we will still come in under budget, even with the extended warranty.
You done? I'll wait till you're done.
I'm done.
Okay. Yeah, so we didn't have that quote. I asked for it yesterday because, you know, this piece of equipment is very valuable to this agency, especially we were talking about if there was a catastrophic or any kind of serious issue that trying to find a tow truck or somebody to haul that thing, everybody's gonna be looking for the same equipment. And with the pricing you just told me, I set up the $5,000, so I was pretty close to $4,000. With a transmission, you know, for the extra $400 a year, basically what it runs for the 5 years. Yeah, I think it's, if anything's going to happen to that truck, it's going to happen within that 5-year period. 2 years, it's questionable. 5 years, I would say we're pretty good, in pretty good shape. So I personally would recommend to accept the bid of $154 plus the $40. How much was it? What's the total cost?
$450.
It would be $4,450 for the extended
Total
warranty.
cost. And
Right now.
because it should make the, or do I need to make them separate? I don't know.
I think you can do them together,
Huh?
because it's under budget.
So it's $159,444.31.
I'm sorry, what was it? What?
$159,444.31.
Okay, so I'm going to move on board order 8A1 for the dollar amount of $159,444.31, that we accept the bid and the extended 5-year warranty to be included.
I'll second. John, I have one question.
Sure.
On that warranty, does that cover then has it got that, real high heat fuel, that 13,000 degrees, where it burns off the,
Well, I
yeah,
would
the
say
depth?
it's tier 4 compliant.
Tier 4.
So yeah, whatever that is, it would have certainly.
Right.
And,
I know we're running some of those, and they are a problem.
right.
But you can't get around them.
Everything newer than 2011 comes down.
Right.
Right.
A problem how?
Huh?
A problem how?
It's just all diesels have, in California, any commercial fleet vehicle and all diesel, any diesel engine manufacturer, they all have to have it's a diesel particulate filter. It's just an inconvenience that everybody
Yeah.
has to deal with.
What happens is they run real hot to burn off the carbon in the exhaust. I burned up one out at the dairy because it got overheated, and then it got a little bit of hay chaff on it, and it just lit up.
Oh, man.
So,
What do they do, cause fires?
yeah,
The motors?
No,
Well, the filter, they get so hot that if you get like hay buildup in there and you don't blow it off, and even if you blow it off, it can get packed down in there. So I'm just saying for the dairy part, you know, I'm not saying you guys will have a problem, but
Good to
It's
know.
just
though.
good to know.
it's something that we definitely want to have it, you know, get that extended warranty.
Okay.
'Cause,
So that would really,
I mean,
So that's part of it, correct? Because it's the motor.
It's
Oh.
like Justin said, it's what you have to have in California.
like,
But I mean, the warranty covers
Oh,
that.
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, it would cover that, unless there was, I mean, if there was an obvious negligence on our part, that'd be a problem. But we take care of our equipment really well, so we'll, doing weed abatement and so forth, that's a good thing to know. We'll just make sure that it's always where it should be.
you know, yeah, don't park it on some grass or something,
No. Right.
it'll light up.
but that goes to say that if you had a motor and you put oil in it and it burned up, that would be negligence.
It'd be the same thing.
Same thing.
That's
So,
correct.
you know.
And that's why we, at AVEK, we have McCormick Diesel, who I think everybody knows. He does all of our maintenance on a regular basis on our generators, anything diesel he does. We have records for it, and we keep a really good maintenance schedule with all of our equipment.
And
Great.
does that warranty cover the electrical system also?
It does, and that was one thing, even if, you know, in the truck, you could have a wiring harness that had a problem, and the engine doesn't run, but it's not the engine, it's the wiring harness, so I think the extended warranty on the truck is valuable too.
Yeah, what's happening on some of this new equipment, when you go to wash it off, it gets the computer wet. And when the computer gets wet, it just defaults everything.
That's gotta be a good $1,000.
Well, if you have the software package to plug into it, which is exclusive through Freightliner, so get ready to pay for that. Mechanic.
We train our people very well, I use this truck, I guarantee you that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you all.
Thank you, John.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. We can go purchase our new water truck.
Okay, that concludes my report.
Thank you. Item 8B, Planning Committee. Director Dias.
Yes, thank you, President Sorsman. The Planning Committee met last Thursday to discuss the recently completed Fremont Basin Integrated Regional Water Management Plan, which is a counterpart to the Antelope Valley Plan, both of which are within our service area and supported by AVEK's strategic plan. Our Planning Committee supports the plan and recommends full board approval when presented for board action at our next meeting. Tonight, we have requested staff to make a presentation for board information and discussion. So I'll now turn it over to Matt.
Good evening, members of the board. Thank you, Director Dias, for the intro. We have a brief presentation here to go through regarding the Fremont Basin Integrated Regional Water Management Plan. So the little planning region description of where Fremont is, Fremont Basin is outlined in blue there on the map. It's just north of the Antelope Valley Integrated Regional Water Management Region. Keep in mind that for the Antelope Valley, the IRWMP region is different than that of the adjudicated basin boundary. So just want to highlight that. DWR approved the Fremont Basin as a region in 2011. It also fully includes the Fremont groundwater basin within the integrated regional water management region. It's just under about 1,000 square miles in eastern Kern County. And there's just a little bit in western San Bernardino County. It includes the two major communities of City of California City and Mojave. And it's about 92% of that region is classified as disadvantaged community. And that's important when it comes to grant funding opportunities for this region. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. The purpose of the plan really focuses on water supply for residential, commercial, industrial, wildlife habitat, agricultural needs, Also focuses on maintaining good water quality within the basin. It addresses any flooding concerns within the region, preserves land uses, and also prepares and mitigates climate change. The plan also characterizes the region's water resources, issues, objectives, and projects for the region to improve those items discussed previously. Also sets the region up for grant opportunities through the Department of Water Resources, primarily under Proposition 1 grant funding. Also prepares the region to comply with SGMA, the Sustainable Groundwater Management Act. This region is a very low priority for SGMA, so there's no requirement now for SGMA, but it does go through a planning effort to make that process easier in the event they have to comply with SGMA. It also creates a government structure that allows input and comments from the public and the stakeholders within the region, and provides a facilitated broad agreement for the group. This kind of gives a visual of the different components of the IRWMP. So the IRWMP characterizes and supports sustainable management of all water resources in the watershed. There's two primary planning documents that feed into the IRWMP plan. One is the groundwater management plan, which I mentioned supports future SGMA requirements. And it also includes a salt and nutrient management plan that really focuses on maintaining high water quality within the region. And then up to the top right, this plan overall supports the opportunity to apply for grant funding through the Department of Water Resources. So there you see the Department of Water Resources is the main driver of completing that IRWMP. There was a regional water management group formed, and that's made up of AVEK, California City, and Mojave Public Utilities District. So there has to be a regional water management group made up of public agency that really manages this whole process of preparing the two plans as well as the IRWMP plan itself. And then those three agencies coordinate with the stakeholder group, which is made up of citizens, landowners, other water agencies, such as RAND Water District, it's out in that region, nonprofit groups, land use agencies, such as Kern County Planning Department, the cities, counties, wastewater agencies, special districts, and any other businesses. So here's a little timeline of kind of where we've been and where we're going with this plan. As I mentioned earlier, it started in 2011 when DWR approved the region. That's RAP was developed. And then in 2014, the Regional Water Management Group was formed, which is made up again of AVEK, California City, and Mojave PUD. This region was awarded an IRWMP planning grant, which paid for 100% of the planning efforts, which we hired Woodard and Kern consultants. What I should note is also the same consultant that prepared the Antelope Valley IRWM plan. So there's a lot of consistency between the Antelope Valley region and Fremont Basin, both of which are in the AVEK service area. So that consistency is good. And then over the last couple of years, we've been holding stakeholder meetings, receiving public input and here we are today. We're seeking approval from the three regional water management group agencies. I should note that California City and Mojave PUD both adopted this plan last month, in March of 2019. So as Director Dias mentioned, we're not asking for approval this evening. It's simply a presentation. We need to do some advertisement in the paper and then bring the plan back for approval by this board at the next meeting. So we hope to do that in April. Another key part of the plan, it really focuses on groundwater extraction capacities and natural recharge. Through this planning effort, it is estimated that the natural recharge is just under 14,000 acre-feet per year for this region. And then there you see in the graph the current and projected baseline demands within this region. So it's broken down into the three major categories that pump water in this region, one being California City, Mojave Public Utilities Districts, and private pumping, which is all the outlying unincorporated pumpers within the region. And then because ag currently is very low in this region, but historically there's been a lot of ag pumping in the Fremont Basin. The plan went through 3 scenarios to estimate future ag pumping. So that's the light, medium, and heavy projections that you see there. You see if we're, based on these projections out to 2040, if there's light to medium ag use in the region, everything should stay within the average, or the estimated average recharge capacity of this region. But if a heavy ag takes off, that's a big unknown, then we'll have to look at that a little closer on what the native safety yield is for this basin. And keep in mind, this basin is not adjudicated at this time. There's also other categories and objectives in the plan. Water supply is a big part of it, but also water quality, flood management, habitat, open spaces, land use, and climate change. And then off to the right, it lists the objectives for each of those categories. One thing that AVEK has included in the plan is seeking some grant funding for a few projects that benefit this region. One being a blending intertie at our Roseman water treatment plant that would improve water quality. So that would allow us to blend water from the West Side Water Bank, groundwater or imported water that's banked there is recovered and sent north on the SNP line. This project will allow us to blend that water with treated water that's running through the Roseman water treatment plant. And then there's a couple of projects along the north feeder, one a chlorination pump station and actual water pump station. So the chlorination station is also a water quality improvement project. The pump station itself really is tied to demand. If we see an increased demand out on the far end of the north feeder, there may be a need to install a mid-north feeder line pump station to increase demand or increase capacity. So there's 2 upcoming rounds of grant funding. Round 1 should come out next month. We're not planning to pursue any grant fundings with that for AVEK, but we are really looking at round 2 of the grant funding, which is about $1 million available that we're going to pursue in order to help fund these projects that we mentioned earlier. Mojave and Cal City are planning to go after round 1. Mojave is planning a water blending and well improvement project, and California City is planning to do some water main replacement projects as well as well improvements. So this is the pie of the funding for this region. Both Antelope Valley and Fremont are part of the Houghton region. There's been $24.5 million funded. There's currently about $18.8 million available. Round 1, as I mentioned, is there's about $500,000 that's going to be available in the next month or so once they come out with the proposal solicitation package. And then we anticipate in 2020, round 2 will come out. We're estimating about $1 million will be available through that round. And that's the round that AVEK is going to target for our projects. This just gives a graphical of what I just mentioned about the funding that's coming out. We anticipate any day the PSP for round 1. And then Mojave and Cal City will have until end of June to submit their grant applications to the Department of Water Resources. And then, as I mentioned, in 2020, we anticipate on GP now. So as Director Dias mentioned, this process and plan lines up well with several of the agency's strategic plan initiatives, goals and objectives. Goal number 1, groundwater basin stewardship. Goal number 2, water reliability. Goal 3, water quality. And goal 6, communication. Kind of our next steps, as mentioned, we presented this on April 4th to the committee, AVEK's committee, planning committee. We are currently noticing the intent for the agency to adopt this plan in the newspaper for the next 2 weeks. And then we have our presentation today, and then we'll bring back on April 23rd a resolution for the board to consider for adoption of this plan. And then after that, since all 3 member agencies will have adopted the plan, we can submit it to the Department of Water Resources for acceptance. And that's all I have unless there are any questions.
Just out of curiosity, Matt, I see in that there's a couple times you mentioned that this was attempting to mitigate climate change. What could we possibly be gonna be doing in this? It's gonna mitigate climate change.
That's a good question. You know, a lot of it deals with the irregularities of rainfall, and, snowpack. You know, some of the water that's provided to this region is imported water through AVEK, very small percent, but some of it is provided through AVEK. And as we know, through the State Water Project reliability, climate change is a big part of the fluctuation in the long-term reliability. So the plan looks at ways to mitigate some of those impacts of climate change.
Okay.
So we don't really know yet.
So,
Okay.
so are they mitigating the extra rain we got this year from climate change? I don't know, all the scientists and everything that goes on. It's absolutely ridiculous, this stuff.
Anything else?
Good report.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Matt.
Very good.
Thank you for your report.
Thank you. I'm gonna stay up here because the next item.
General Manager's report.
Good evening again. Mr. Chisholm is in Ohio attending the Design Build Institute of America conference.
And why is he doing that?
What's that?
And why is he participating in that?
And the timing is perfect because, as you know, we are getting close with our high-density water bank development. And as an agency, we have selected the progressive design build process to deliver that project. So the timing is perfect. We're learning all about different design build consultants, contractors, processes, the do's and don'ts of that process. So hopefully it's going well.
Yeah, that's excellent.
So I get to play meteorologist for a couple minutes here and talk about our 10-day forecast for the Northern California area. Slight chance of rain through Wednesday in the lower elevations and up to 1 inch of snow in the higher altitudes. So a slight chance of rain on Friday through Saturday in the Feather River region. We've all seen this chart before. This is the precipitation for water year 2018 to 2019. Starts October 1. You can see the blue dashes is the average rainfall for each of those months. The yellow chart bar is actual for this year. And you can see we've had a great January, February, March, and April for only a week into it. Doesn't look too bad itself. So things are looking really good. About 46.9 inches from January 1st.
How many?
46.9, and that's in the Sierra, or Northern Sierra 8 station index, so the Feather River. And then this looks at percentage, or this looks at the average. We've all seen this. The light blue shaded area is the long-term average, and the blue line is where we're at currently. Sorry for me to read that from here, but it looks like it's like 59.7.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And it's about 135% of average. So we're doing really good. Not quite as good as 17, 18, but really good.
The fourth wettest year on record.
Yeah, not too bad. And then this looks at snow water content for the northern, central, and southern regions. The average between the three is 162% average for this date. So again, doing really good on snow water content. It's not just snow depth, it's snow water content. So they actually measure the content within the snow, or the water content within the snow. This is looking at all of the State Water Project reservoirs throughout the state. You can see there's a lot of blue there. Blue is the current level. The yellow shaded area is what capacity is available. So we're doing really good as far as all the reservoir storage throughout the state. Lake Oroville, current capacity or storage capacity is 2.85. The total capacity is about 3.5 million acre feet. It's got currently 81% of the total capacity and 104% of historical average. You can see it's dipped off a little bit. If you look at the blue line, it kind of peaked there towards the end of March. Early April has kind of come down, and that's due to them releasing some water from Oroville to make room for spring runoff. And then this is San Luis Reservoir. Current storage is 2.03 million acre feet. It's just about full, 99%, and just over, or 111% of historical average. Kind of same thing, it peaked and there's a little dip in the storage. We got a quick video here of, I don't know if you've heard in the news, they recently completed the reconstruction of the Orville spillway. And last week they opened the gates and flowed water down the spillway for the first time, for the rehabilitated spillway. We start that. There. I don't know where the music came from. So the initial flow was about 10,000 cubic feet per second. The rated capacity is about 270,000 cubic feet per second. So they started at 10. I heard on Friday, I think they increased it to about 20,000 cubic feet per second. And I don't know where they're currently at. I've heard that they were going to steadily ramp it up, the flow rate, in order to maintain storage capacity. So there you can see that the water doesn't look like a whole lot, but you can see when it hits these towers down at the bottom, the diffusers, you can see it's pretty good flow. Yeah, I don't know why they came with the video. When we got this from PWR, it came with video. We can turn it down, Holly.
No, it's okay.
Those gutters are gonna be able to handle the water hitting.
What's that?
Those gutters will be able to handle all that water.
Yeah, they've been designed to handle 270,000 cubic feet per second flow.
Amazing.
And like I said, this is only about 10,000 cubic feet per second. Yeah, I think the cap has all been reconstructed and the emergency building is ready to go through. Do you recall the cost of the reconstruction? Does anybody remember what that cost was? 1.1 billion. The reconstruction cost. So far, the feds have reimbursed, I want to say, just over 300 million. There's been another request in for an additional 330 million to be reimbursed from FEMA. Have you seen enough? Heard enough?
Yeah, I think so.
All right.
Those gutters are to keep it from hitting too hard.
Yeah, just slow down the velocity of the water as it's going down the spillway. Kind of break all the energy out so then it dissipates into the...
Now, do you anticipate St. Louis doing the spillway?
Well,
Because it's full.
everybody's pulling water from San Luis right now, so they'll be able to they can maintain San Luis reservoir level by what they pump into it.
Okay.
All right, and then moving on to our operations here. Water treatment plant flows. Current flow at Quartz Hill is about 20 million gallons per day. Roseman's about 3.5 million gallons per day. East side 1.5. Acton's off, and then we're flowing about 500,000 gallons per day through Palmer Water District intertie. Total about 25 million per day. It's down a little bit from last year as far as our conventional treatment. Water banking recovery, we're flowing from Westside Water Bank about 3.5 million gallons per day. And that's what we're recovering from the bank. All that water is going to LA County Waterworks through 80th and H intertie with them. None of the recovered bank water is flowing north to communities of Mojave, Roseman, and Cal City. We're currently recharging Westside Water Bank, 140 acre feet per day. So I think that's up a little bit from last time we reported. So It's a pretty good flow rate right now. East side is off. We've scheduled the final repair work of the Nicholas construction and KJ work out there. So we've shut the recharge off so the basins dry out. They're scheduling that work for late part of April. So hopefully we'll be able to bring back a good report for the board in the near future on that work. Water quality, bromide in the state water project is low. And bromate is non-detect in all of our clear wells. Clear wells being the treated reservoir that's downstream of our treatment process. The raw water TOC is moderate at 3.5 milligrams per liter, and we're getting about 45% removal through our clarifiers through the treatment process, which is pretty good. Oh, let me back up here. We've got some exciting news. You guys probably already read the email I sent.
Yes.
But Metropolitan today approved our term sheet regarding the High Desert Water Bank, and we have a little clip here for you of the board meeting. So they go through a two-step process, and on 4/8, which was just yesterday, they presented the information to their Water Planning and Stewardship Committee, and that was approved unanimously by the committee, 15-0. And then today it was presented to their full board, and everybody voted in favor of that. So we got a little clip of their actual board meeting if you're interested.
Thank you. Item 8-5, Committee Chair Atwater again, please.
Thank you. Chairwoman Gray, the Water Planning and Stewardship Committee voted unanimously to approve item 8-5, option 1 as follows. Review and consider the lead agency's adopted mitigated negative declaration and take related CEQA actions, and A, authorize the general manager to enter into a High Desert Water Bank program agreement with the Antelope Valley East Kern Water Agency, consistent with the terms outlined here and in form approved by the General Counsel. B, approve capital payments of up to $131 million for funding the High Desert Water Bank facilities. And C, preparation of maintenance costs and energy costs related to the High Desert Water Bank. And I so move.
All right, discussion, Director Morris.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I heard from my son last night, who works for Kennedy Tanks Consultants, that they are likely to be very involved with the implementation of that project, so I would like to recuse myself and come back in after this item's been voted on.
Okay. Are there any further comments or questions? All right, let's vote, please.
Madam Chair, item 8-5 is approved.
Thank you.
All right, there you go.
Congratulations.
Good job, everybody.
This is going to be huge.
Great things for Antelope Valley.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, in keeping with Wayne's tradition, he's been providing some regulatory and legislative updates. The first one is regarding a fact sheet that's been circulated, and we'll make sure each of the board members get a copy of this fact sheet. It's a voluntary agreement to improve the Bay Delta watershed. So this is something that's been worked on within state water contractors for quite some time, and they've developed this fact sheet to educate the public on the voluntary agreement for the Bay Delta watershed. Legislative updates, AB 441 regarding underground storage. I think this is follow up from the previous meeting. But the bill provides that certain users of water that is stored underground will provide a beneficial use, given the water is used for beneficial purposes for which it was stored. So there was some pushback from the state water contractors on this bill, and there was some interest in getting Fish and Wildlife involved to submit a fiscal analysis, tagging the bill at $2 million to implement their work. This is a good thing because it was originally going to be on the consent calendar for approval. So now that Fish and Wildlife is involved and there's a cost implication on this, it kind of kicks it down the road a little bit more time for the state water contractors to oppose this bill. So that I've seen some information recently that says the like Metropolitan and other state water contractors are opposed to this bill. So we'll see where that goes. Next scheduled date is April 24th. So they're encouraging all of the agencies to contact their appropriate folks and support and not support this bill. Some upcoming events. I mentioned Mr. Chisholm's at the DBIA conference this week. Antelope Valley State Water Contractors Association meeting is Thursday of this week, 6 p.m. in Palmdale. We have a confirmed scheduled tour from Congresswoman Katie Hill to come meet with the agency. You all should have received an email from Holly Hughes on that. And that is April 17th from 2:45 to 3:45. So we're working on a really nice presentation and agenda for that visit.
We're actually going to have a special meeting
Yeah.
for that, so that we don't have any ground violations.
Yeah. In the event for the week. And then Aqua Conference in Monterey is coming up first week of May. And Mr. Chisholm is going to be out of the office this week. He will return next Wednesday. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
I have a question regarding water quality. Would you mind going back to that slide that indicated 44% TOC removal? Yeah, I think you passed it. There it is. Just out of curiosity, in the future sometime, I'd appreciate it if we could estimate the percent removal of TLCs in the geopurification process.
Oh, okay. Based on state water quality going into the recharge basins?
Yeah, whatever protocol you use to develop this percentage, I'd like to compare.
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah, raw water versus recovered water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
Any other
Thank you.
questions?
That's it.
What was that? Somebody else was talking. Okay. Okay, committee meeting recap report for informational purposes only. I don't think we have any. Okay. Directors reports. Do any of the directors have anything to report?
No report. Got Kids Ag Day tomorrow at the Antelope Valley Fairgrounds. There'll be 925 kids attending, 3rd and 4th graders.
Oh, that's awesome.
Starts at 10 o'clock.
How long does it go for?
Probably till 1 or 2. So, anybody, AVEK's gonna have a booth there, so, in Palmdale. So, thank you guys.
Thank you.
I just have one announcement. I just want to recognize Matt for negotiating with Mason and Mason on the appraisal of the house out on the West Side Water Bank. Originally, they were charging us $5,000 for that appraisal, and through Matt's negotiations, they reduced that down to $2,100, which is much more in line with what the cost for that appraisal should be. So I just wanted to publicly recognize your efforts on that. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
Good job, Matt.
It was tough.
It was tough. I know it was. Okay, item number 12, attorney report. I think that Mr. McElhaney is up on the phone. Do you have anything? Okay. Any old business? Closed session. Do we have a need to go into closed session?
Yes, we do.
Which items?
We'll cover item C, F, and G.
Okay, do I have a motion to go into closed session?
Move we go into closed session.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we'll break for 10 minutes? 10 minutes and then go into closed session.